In the summer of 2022, I went on an epic landscape photography adventure to the Italian Dolomites. We visited many beautiful and famous locations, got some fantastic light and brought home some incredible landscape photos. This video is the continuation of the journey and we'll start where we left off last week, in the epic Tre Cime mountain area. So hit the like button, and once you've seen the video, let me know which one of the many photos I'm sharing is your favorite. Enjoy the show. So yet another early start to a morning. It's getting harder and harder getting out of bed. Right now we are a few who are working on this composition right here. We have these absolutely awesome lines, ridges, whatever in the rock leading up to this super dramatic triangular mountain here. Also have a group playing around down here with some foreground stones. Compositionally, there's not a whole lot to it. Trying to find the lines where they converge into the mountain right here. Focus tagging, so I'm shooting at f16. So I take one shot where I focus on the immediate foreground. Then I take one a little bit further in, one for the midground and one for the background. Shooting at f16 is probably overkill, but it's better to have too many shots in focus than too little when it comes to focus tagging. Right now there's also luckily some clouds in the sky, which is nice, gives some texture up there. Sadly though, the sun is rising up behind some clouds out here, so we don't get those really orange colors on the mountain. We have a little bit of alpenglow out here on Tre Cime right now, but sadly I think that this part here is right now in shadow due to a cloud. So it's basically just a waiting game. So it's 45 minutes past sunrise and we still have a little bit of yellow in the colors. It looks absolutely beautiful. I returned up to this position here, photographing in this direction as I did yesterday. Have a bunch of locals who need to have their morning chat session right in the middle of the scene, but I think I managed to take a shot with myself there and I'll just clone them out or average them out or something like that. Finally, we actually get a little bit of sun on this peak. We've had some clouds out here that has basically been following the sun as it rose. So we haven't had a whole lot of color this morning, sadly. And that is just so typical because it was kind of the same last night, where we also had some clouds out by the horizon blocking the sun. So we haven't really got those deep red colors. It's of course a part of it, but it's just so annoying because we really spend a whole lot of energy getting out here. I will go back down to this area down here and get a shot with those lines leading up to the mountain, where there's now a little bit of color. These photos mark the end of our days in Tre Cime, and we started the long hike back to the cars at Refugio Auronzo. The next destination on the list was the much easier to access Cinque Torri. We used the ski lift to get up the mountain, which was a nice relief after such strenuous hiking at Tre Cime. To top it all off, the Refugio and our main subject were both next to the lift, a well-earned easy location to get to. So we have arrived at Cinque Torri, and we were lucky enough to have a chairlift all the way up here. Didn't have to hike anymore today. And what Cinque Torri is these absolutely epic towers. They call it the 5 towers, basically in English. And yeah, so I have this issue with this location, that each photo I've seen from here is like a wide angle photo, and it just does not show how big these peaks are, because they are massive. Right now I am focused on photographing a couple of trees. I have these big rocks over here, but it's actually these 2 trees here that has caught my attention. So right now I have, as you can see, a vertical composition, and I will also try horizontal composition and maybe a few other angles. Out here behind me, even more epic stuff is going on. We have thunder clouds. We can hear the rumbling of the thunder, and I'm pretty sure there's some rain coming this way too. So I'm not sure how long I can shoot, but the peaks here in the Dolomites, and the weather and the mood and the clouds and everything is just wow. And yeah, right now I will just compose a shot up here with this peak coming out right there. So that one up there, got that one. And yeah, just like this scene, as you can see on the camera, it looks spectacular. If you struggle with composition in landscape photography, be sure to get my ebook Landscape Composition, which covers exactly that topic. Minimal text and loads of photos to exemplify my points. If you're in doubt about whether you want it, you can try the free light version first. I cover topics such as the use of light and shadow, depth, balance, visual flow, scale, and many more. The ebook ends with a chapter where I summarize all the compositional tools I've presented throughout the book. There is a link in the description of the video for both the light, full version, and follow-up, Landscape Composition 2. So much epicness is going on in these mountains. They're just constantly changing, and the clouds, that was the word I was looking for. The clouds are changing, and it just like creates so much dynamics in the scene and in these mountains. Right now I'm also focused at Cinque Torri. After all, that's the main reason why we came. And I'm simply just going super simple, using the trail here as a leading line. And I'm making a vertical composition right now. And I think it works out really, really well. It is super moody. And I've also played around with some flowers over here. I'm not sure that they work as great as with the leading line of the trail right here. But even though I'm not showing entirely how big the scale of these rocks are, I actually think that the shot is pretty good for what I have to work with. So, first shot of the morning, photographing towards a small tiny tree. You can't see it here, but just on that edge right there. See the composition? Actually looks really nice, having the sun coming up, having a bit of depth in the background with these mountains here, shooting almost towards the sun. Really nice little shot. f16 ISO 100 gives me shutter speed of 1/50th of a second. Not really that the aperture matters that much. I put on the long lens. I'm all the way out at 300mm. Could probably work at 400mm too. But yeah, nice little beginning shot this morning. Now that the sun is coming up, I'll head back to some of the other compositions. And boom, the worst cut in cinematic history. I actually come a little bit further up. So I was down on this trail right here before, but now I just have a slightly different angle. Here you can see all the way out here is the tree, and now my composition looks like this. So I actually have some really nice sunbeams there in the background mountains and some clouds and all sorts of stuff that fills up the frame. Also here I've tried a few different compositions. One a little bit simpler with only the tree and this part over here, but now I also introduce some of this here. I'm not entirely sure which one I'm going to enjoy the most, but yeah, you can see the different photos here. They look pretty good. They look pretty good. Nice and minimalist. Really nice. I love this little tree composition. It's a prime example of how we are attracted to high contrast elements in a scene. No matter which one of the compositions I chose, whether zooming more out or introducing more of the cliffs, there's just no doubt about what you're supposed to look at. With the big rocks, the framing of the sunrise and the silhouette of the tree, this is definitely one of my favorite photos from this entire trip to the Dolomites. So here's another photo of a mountaintop and a little bit of foreground. So I'm using this line of trees, or the foreground mountain here, as a foreground, obviously. And then I'm photographing this mountain over here that is just getting kissed by the morning light. It's probably in the shadow of this mountain over here, but it looks actually really good. So you can see here the composition like this, and then I have a little bit of clouds up here. What I'm mostly in doubt about is simply just the direction of the light, because having this foreground, which is more or less front lit, I honestly don't think it's the prettiest of foregrounds. Like, I like the foreground as it is, but the light direction is just not that good. So I'm a little bit in doubt about this photo, but obviously let me hear down in the comments what you think about it. So yeah, simple, one vertical, one horizontal. Settings are as they always are. It's just one of those mornings where you're just running around because there's just compositions everywhere. So just before, I was standing over here in the background and photographing towards here into this scene and this mountain over here. So I made one of those really compressed photos. So I was like standing right here and the camera was over here, and I gave a really good shot towards these mountains here. But when I was over here, I just saw that the light and atmosphere in this area here is just absolutely gorgeous. So here is a composition that I have, as you can see, zoomed quite far in, But this little line of trees here is a nice leading line up through the photo. Looks really good. And I've also tried a photo where I've been zooming a little bit more out, and I've included like this little tree here in the foreground and then the rest of the scene. I think both photos work. This is just absolutely gorgeous. And it's funny because when I contemplated in the beginning like what to photograph here, like these are all photos that I hadn't foreseen. Besides the little tree, I knew about the little tree there to begin with, but all the other photos I haven't planned, and I haven't got a single photo of what I actually wanted to photograph to begin with. But that's just the thing, you have to adapt and follow the light and see the compositions when they happen in front of you. Shouldn't be this hard, but whew. Beautiful, beautiful morning. So, getting the last light of the morning, just shooting out over this massive, big landscape. Whew, absolutely beautiful. Haven't got a single shot of like the main composition of the main rocks. I'm probably going to get one just when I'm done with this. At least you can compare it with the shot I got yesterday with the moody clouds. So, nice. Nice and peaceful, besides when you're running around like crazy. If you want to improve your photography editing, be sure to enroll in my huge post-processing course, Photoshop for Landscape Photographers. Here I teach you how I edit my photos. I teach you how to use the editing software and the different techniques I use to make my photos pop and stand out, while at the same time keep that personal touch so that I feel connected to my art. The point is, I give you a ton of tools that you can use to edit either as I do, or for you to find your own path and preferences in post-processing. A huge thank you to all of you who've enrolled already. It means a lot you enjoy the course, so thank you. There is a link in the description of the video to enroll in the course and a coupon code to save some money. So we have made it to the final location of this workshop photo tour in the Dolomites, and it's absolutely massively epic. Holy macaroni! Just look at these peaks here. That is just super dramatic. And we even have a lot of clouds coming in and out. Just before I was just like completely standing in a cloud, which is kind of fun. It's not dangerous at all. There's no place I can fall down or anything like that. So people have spread out a little bit. Some of them have decided to stay down here. So the normal shot is down by this pond here. But honestly, I want to make sure that I really show the size of this location here, because it is just massive. The main shot is like a wide angle shot with the lake and then the reflection of the mountains, which is a pretty shot, no, of course. But I definitely feel that these peaks deserve more than a wide angle shot. Because wow, so huge. And this is just So good. So the main reason why I came back was to hopefully have someone stand over there on the ridge and just show some scale. And that was what I just had. So I just had Monica from the group. She was standing in one location, and then there was another person standing up on the other ridge, and I have no clue who it was, but I just captured that person very fast. So having a person standing here and then have this huge mountain here in the background looks absolutely epic. So if I just zoom in, you can see if this one would just... Yeah, there's no way you can see this. So there we have a person standing in this shot here, which just looks super epic and super dramatic. If you're wondering about all the bells and yells, I guess it's the locals. They're herding their cows. And that is also part of the Alpen experience. Awesome. So earlier when we just arrived at the Refugio, which is further down the mountain here, the peaks were lit up from kind of top behind and also had some of all these clouds in them, which also looked just absolutely amazing. You can see some of the photos right here. And I gotta admit, I probably prefer those in regard to light and mood, but to get that complete photo, you definitely need to have some kind of foreground and maybe a person standing there to really just like, yeah, show the scale, a tiny bit of the scale, because these mountains are massive. So right now the wind has calmed down, there's no more rain, so we actually get a reflection of these mountains in the lake. As you can see, there's still a little bit of ripples, but as always, if you go down low enough, you can definitely get a good reflection of this awesome location. As you can see, we have also had another inversion roll in just over here. So we have had up here on the ridge, Monica standing again, volunteering for the rest of us, getting epic shots. So she was standing out really well on that white background. I got some absolutely awesome photos. Love it. This photo is also one of my favorites from this entire trip. The mood, the reflection, and Monica on the ridge to show some scale. Absolute wow. Even though the forecasts were against us in regard to good light, we actually did get a real burst of beautiful pink lights with the clouds lit from below the following and final morning. The trip through the Italian Dolomites was absolutely epic, and as you've seen, we got some incredible photos. If you enjoyed this video, I'll highly appreciate a like and any comment you can come up with. It really does go a long way to spread the video. As mentioned, if you want to learn how I approach landscape photography, there are links to all my educational resources in the description of the video and on my homepage. Here you will also find all the photos I have available as prints. See you next time.